We are live. We're live. What's up, Brady? What's up, Keith? Coming back from behind the deal. Brady, dude, how's the week going, man?
It's going awesome. How you doing, Trevor? How you doing, Keith?
Awesome.
Great. Dude, Keith, we Brady and I were reviewing a t-shirt design, a new t-shirt design. We want to come out with a new t-shirt here at Carrot, and I think you guys are gonna like it. And so Brady added his extra magic on top of it. So around the new year, you guys will see it. Carrot team members are gonna get it in January. So Brady, awesome work there, helping me with the new t-shirt, new Carrot tee.
Yeah, new Carrot.
I'm excited. Yeah, I have like a whole this section of my closet.
I've got literally, man. So we have the Carrot swag is across the office wall for me right here. Basically, anytime I forget to bring my Carrot shirt to office when I need to have videos, I go and grab a new one. So I've got 14 orange Carrot shirts in my house, which is probably not the best thing.
Yeah, that swag pile is slowly dwindling. Eric says, would love to get a Carrot golf shirt. That would be a nice addition. We do. Dude. I think we did have Carrot golf balls, right?
We've got some Carrot golf balls, some Pro V1s for sure.
What do you got to do to get a Carrot golf ball?
What do you got to do you got to go golfing first. You got to go golfing first, and I'll bring you some Carrot golf balls. I love it. Well, guys and gals, you guys are trickling in here. This is Behind the Deal. This is our show. I guess we can't really call it the new show now. We've been doing it for a little bit of time now, but every other Thursday we're going to hop on and tear down a deal with one of our Carrot customers. We've got Keith Sant on with us again to do one we're calling the Top Dollar Teardown. We'll show you guys the video behind the deal here in a second. And we're going to break it down. We're going to break it down start to finish, how he found the deal, how the deal went, watch the video of Keith going through the property, answer your questions, the whole shebang. What I want you guys to do is wherever you're watching this, if you're watching it on Facebook, I know IG, I just sent some of y'all over here as well, YouTube, share it with your friends. Okay, take that Facebook page or take the Facebook Live thing, click the share button, share it into the real estate groups you're a part of that you think will love to see this behind the deal. Share it with your friends, share it on your page. Let's get as many people in here as possible. But I'm going to turn it over to you really quick, Keith. So for those who don't know who you are, introduce yourself really quick. Then we're going to go into the deal behind the deal.
Yeah, I'm Keith Sant out of Tacoma, Washington. I wholesale all over Washington and Texas and hold, I don't know, I might buy 5% of the deals, but most of them are 95% of them get wholesaled, and been doing it full time the last 4 years and love my life. Can't complain.
And Keith is the record holder at the Carrot Camp, guys. So if anyone wants to beat Keith for the most amount of show-ups at Carrot Camp, you guys are going to have to do some work. I think he's 4 or 5 in, which is always one of my favorite things to hang out with you, Keith. But one thing we're going to talk about towards the end of Behind the Deal is Keith was kind of featured in a big newspaper article up in Washington in the Olympian. And we'll probably talk about that a little bit after we show the video. But toss over to you, Brady. Any words before we do the video?
Yeah, I'm really excited for this one, Top Dollar Teardown. Keith, you were saying that this is one you went out to and they thought it should have been tear down. They assumed it was going to be tore down. And obviously that wasn't the case. So I'm excited to dive in and find out what the heck happened to it. And then, yeah, like Trevor said, kind of talk about how you became famous last week and with your mention in the Olympian newspaper. So it's going to be a lot of fun to dive into.
Absolutely. I'm excited.
Yeah. So one of the things we do on Behind the Deal is we have a little video. We'll go behind the deal, behind the scenes, and show you a little bit about the property and kind of give you some of the stories. So yeah, let's roll the video and we'll break it all down after that.
Let's do it.
What's up, guys? This is Keith with Kind House Buyers. We're up here in Washington State. I'm here outside of a deal we closed, and so I'm actually here at the house. It's pending right now. So I was just leaving an appointment over in Bremerton on the other side of the water, and I got a PPC lead. So I called. The lady told me that the house was a family house and it was a manufactured home, probably a tear down. I'll walk you through the house really fast because again, they thought it was a tear down and they owed $78,000 and just didn't want it to go to the bank or go through bankruptcy or any of that. There was a huge extra piece of structure here that wasn't permitted. We just tore it down because it was just a lot faster. So I just got a new lead, Carrot lead.
I love it.
Bushes, you couldn't even see back there. I was thinking in my head, okay, 78, I know I could sell a lot for 100, so it's already good. I'm on my way over. So I shot over there. I got there and the house wasn't a teardown. Again, they thought it was a teardown. And honestly, it probably would have been a teardown if it wasn't COVID. They're the sweetest people in the world. Her name was Amanda. My fiance's name is Amanda, and her husband's name is Keith. My name's Keith. Typically would have just removed this, brought a new one in for like, new mobile in for like 100, 120, all in. But the amount of time it would take, because mobiles right now are back ordered over a year, just made sense to throw, 80 to 100 grand in this than to buy a new one. So instantly, they just loved me. They had 2 other investors blowing up their phone, because she filled out the form on 3 different sites, but I was there and they agreed on a price right then. And we were able to close in just a couple weeks. It came out really nice. The sellers were very happy and grateful, left me an awesome review, and yeah, look forward to telling you more about it.
Dude, there's a few topics in there. I was shooting an IG and posting it up, so you're going to get tagged on some stuff here in a second. But there's a few topics in there I definitely want to dive deep into. You had talked about the other investors that were also approaching her. And so I want to talk about how you stand out, what you do. We'll talk about the marketing method that got them there a little bit, and a whole slew of other things. But dude, so with this one, let's kind of break the deal down really quick. And so everyone can see start to finish. We'll rapid fire break down the essential numbers, KPIs, and we'll dive into some questions and we'll dive into some nuances of the deal. So what was the lead source in the deal? I'm just going to kind of lay it out. What was the lead source of the deal, Keith? How fast did you get back to the person, get back to the lead? And then number 2, what were some of the numbers behind the deal? You acquired it for X, and what was the profits coming out of it?
Yeah. So it was a PPC lead because that's how it came in as a form. But she said she spent all day researching. So she was looking at a bunch of different people and she chose 3. So, but whatever reason why, it came up as PPC. She filled out the form as I was getting a verbal yes from another seller. And so I'm like, okay, trying to wrap that up, got in the truck, called her immediately as I'm leaving the driveway. So, it was within 3 minutes. I think I called back. And again, they owed, I think she said around 75, it could have been 78. And she just said she doesn't even know if it's worth that. It's a teardown in her opinion. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, I could sell a lot for 100. So I'm available now. I'm just leaving. I could be there in about an hour. And, she said the father-in-law had some reservations. He's embarrassed about the place and the condition. I'm like, man, I'm the last judge. I'm not going to judge anything. I'm not looking at, dirt, garbage, anything. I grew up in a trailer park. I do not look down on anyone based on their standing or, and she told me that the guy's husband passed away and he just was sad and depressed and let everything go. So I'm like, that is fine. I totally understand. So anyways, I went up, she convinced him to let me come in and I got there. They were asking 78. And once I saw it, I'm like, okay, normally I'd probably tear it down because you could just bring in a new one and, it'd be a month-long turnaround, right? Not throwing in 80,000 and talking to 20 different contractors and, permitting and code violations for the unpermitted, everything. It would have just been a pain in the butt, but it would have just taken too long. So, but they were the sweetest people. They didn't even live here. They drove all the way here from Kentucky. Really? And while they were here, they adopted a family member's child. And they spent 10 grand to do that. And they were going to walk away, no moving money for the father-in-law, but they wanted to bring the father back to live with them. So he's in a healthy environment and he wasn't just withering away. And when I heard that and everything, most people would have said, okay, yeah, I think I could come up to the 78, I think we can make something happen here. But I was like, what would you say if I offered you 86,000? And she was like, Keith, you would be a blessing to my family.
Dude.
And I was like, you can't tell my boss that I offered you 86. You got to see you ask for it. But I think I can make that happen. And they were sold. Everything was good. And she was literally turning down other people right then and there. And got the contract signed that day.
That's amazing.
Dude, so there's a big lesson in there, right? Like as an example, that article, we're going to bring up the article from the Olympian here in a bit, but one of the things that's a misnomer out there in the industry in general, and I think it's really perpetuated, honestly, by the retail side. And it's not that they mean wrong. I think they just oftentimes don't understand the wholesale side of the business, right? And I'm not saying wholesale side as in wholesaling. I'm saying wholesale side as in buying properties discount. Just like there's a wholesale side in buying cars and there's a wholesale side in groceries, right? So we're going to talk retail and wholesale. The retail side really oftentimes paints the picture that investors are out there to get the prospect. And that's just not the case 99.9% of the time. And so in this example, the gal told you what she wanted and you actually offered her more, right? Which is awesome. So Keith, for you there, I mean, the name of your company is Kind House Buyers, but for you there, in that example, especially so the newer investors can learn from this, why didn't you just say, hey, awesome, 75 grand, let's do it, versus offering her more?
I didn't feel it was the right thing to do.
Yep.
I knew once I saw that it wasn't a teardown and that it was going to be, there's meat on that bone. And yeah, I just felt like it was the right thing to do. And I wanted them to get reimbursed for that money they just spent helping that little child. Cause that was cool. That was super cool.
Dude, so that right there is where it's at. So guys, this is what I want people to take away. We're going to talk about the PPC side a little bit. We'll talk about, whatever you guys want to talk. We'll answer questions. But that for me, guys, is we look at the company mission here at Carrot to help people build businesses of freedom and impact. Nowhere in that does it say to help people build businesses that, have the most profit. Now we want to have you guys have insane profit, right? But the way that we help you market helps you get more freedom so that you can make a greater impact with your business. And dude, that right there is a big deal because those people probably honestly felt that they were going to have a high chance of someone taking advantage of them. They were probably guarded when that initial thing happened because she did all that research. You had mentioned that she spent all afternoon researching. You don't do that if you're not nervous about stepping forward into something like that. And then Keith comes in and offers her $11,000 more because he cares, because he knows the profit's there for him, even at the 86. And he knows that the business isn't just about squeezing the most profits. It's about also making a difference in the process too. So dude, kudos to that, man. That's one of the reasons I love you.
Thanks, man.
Like it.
One of the things I was curious about, Keith, you said you hopped in your car. Are you usually driving to the properties, whether you've gotten the phone with them or not? Are you like going to check it out? You're always doing that?
If it looks like it could be a possible deal, I go to every appointment that's drivable. There's so many unknowns that, like, for example, a deal on Tuesday, beautiful condo on the outside, the biggest hoarder house you'd ever seen. You would not expect that. But if I made an offer over the phone, I would have missed that. And I would have been way off. And then I would have had to come back and renegotiate. And I don't like doing that. That's not my business model. And that's what I say sets me apart from everyone else. Like, hey, oh, you got an offer for $350? Oh, cool. They came out and met you? No, they emailed it over. I'm like, oh, yeah, unfortunately, some of those guys, they're going to, maybe backpedal on the offer after their inspection period. I don't do that. My visit is an inspection period, and I never ask for price reductions or try to renegotiate after the fact. I could put you in touch with title companies, past clients, attorneys that could all vouch for my reputation, and they love that.
Are you ever going out with that? Are you ever driving out without an appointment? Like just going out just to see it without having spoke to them?
I've done drive-bys. It's pretty, it's a pretty good metro area. So like Google Maps is updated regularly. So usually I could get a good idea of the street view and some stuff just online. But I have driven by and done a lot of drive-bys, especially if they're like out-of-state owners. And there's tenants, and I can't really, interrupt the tenant, but I do want to get an idea of the neighborhood because the neighborhood also has a big effect on the resale.
Yeah. Speaking of the resale, one of the things you had mentioned was, if we weren't in the middle of a pandemic, you would have just, it's easy to just get another mobile home, but with the pandemic, everything in the world is on back order right now. What's that been like? How's that affected you when you're doing flips? Trying to do construction and do flips in the middle of pandemic. Are you doing less because of it? Like just the hassle of contractors
you definitely got to adapt, and your numbers are going to change, right? If lumber is super high, you're probably not going to do as many decks. You're not going to do certain things. Like windows are one thing that are super back ordered right now, right? Like they're like the longest wait. So like deal last month, right after I got under contract, I actually contacted the lady and I said, hey, do you mind if we actually have our window guy come over and take measurements? Because they're so far out. We want to get them ordered now. So they're here, I know you're not leaving for another 40 days, but we just want to get it ordered. She's like, yeah, of course, Keith, anything I can do to make it easier. The window guy came out, and yeah, so you just got to adapt.
That's cool. It's a pain, but it's not slowing you down. It's not turning you away from doing more flips or any remodels.
Don't let anything slow you down.
Keith, so with this deal here, so people understand, so those of you who are just joining, this is Behind the Deal. Guys, go to carrot.com/behind to get notifications every other week. So you are here at the start of the call, but watch this recording when it's done, breaking down this deal called the Top Dollar Teardown. And so with this one here, Keith, when you're selling a mobile home in this example, are you selling it to a house flip? Or are you selling it to an end buyer? Are you listing it? Kind of how do you end up disposing of that property and getting it to the end buyer?
So that mobile, I wholesaled it to a good buddy of mine. He buys a lot of houses from me. And so when it was done, and I just have, so I was able to get access anytime. But mobile homes in a hot market, like usually in a cold market, mobile homes, the values are a lot less than stick-built houses. When it's a hot market, they're really close to each other. Like, it's just how it goes, because it gets so competitive. People aren't really, it's on a slab or it's on blocks and beams. They just don't really care at that point.
It's whatever they can find, right? With the inventory right now. So on the PPC side of things, and you might not have this data, but I want to help people piece this together for people, because when we're building a real estate investment business, there's several parts of it, right? But the biggest thing is we have to build the business based off of math, not emotion. And so Keith walked you through the actual deal, showed you the video at the property, talked about how we got it, talked about how we sold it, talked about the profits. But let's go back to how you got the deal. So you got it through Google pay-per-click. Do you remember about, Keith, about how much you're paying per lead and then how many leads it might take you to get a deal? What I'm trying to back into is approximately how much did you pay to get this deal in marketing? And then, what was that ROI?
Yeah, so I still average about 1 in 12. I'm not the best negotiator. About 1 in 12 pay-per-click deals or leads per deal. But that also includes a couple realtor referrals that usually pay for my marketing costs. And pay-per-click is high right now. It went up a lot, over double. But at that time, leads were about $400 a lead. So you're looking at like $4,800 per deal. I did a $40,000 assignment on that. So yeah, a lot of people can't stomach seeing Google ad $500 every day going away. But if you do the math, it made sense.
And that right there is what I want people to look at. Okay. I did a webinar yesterday and I got out the iPad and I started drawing, because especially in a market like this, like you're talking, where the ad cost is going up. And in the fall and winter, we just published a blog post, guys. Go to carrot.com/blog. We published a blog post today about the seasonality of some leads. So in your November, December, a little bit in January, depending on the market, you'll see a little bit of a dip. It's a 5, 10, 15% dip in some markets on searchers of people looking to sell their homes. And we can kind of look at that and go, well, there's the really, really cold markets up north. If there's already snow on the ground or ice and things like that, unless you're really motivated, some of those people are going to hold back until the spring, possibly, so they're not having to move in the terrible weather. But those ones who are still searching, which is the majority of them are still searching, are more motivated, right? They would not be motivated to sell their house quickly for cash if they were searching on December 23rd, right? They're probably pretty motivated, so you can help them out. But then the cash buyer searches go up a lot in December. So if you're looking to sell property to investors, especially, oftentimes they're trying to buy a bunch of property to finish the year to get some real estate in there for depreciation, some other things. And so you can really start to build up your cash buyer list towards the end of the year. But the biggie, guys, of this is Keith invested about $4,500 to get that deal through Google pay-per-click. If he would have started at $2,000, or if he would have stopped at 2,000 in without getting that deal, he would have burned that $2,000, right? But you've got to do the math. Essentially, take whatever your average profit per deal is. I say start with 25% as a good gauge to start, but then you want to work your way towards an 8-to-1, 10-to-1, ideally, as you can get there, because you can get those numbers in many markets. But 25% of your average profit per deal, put that up to get your first deal. In this case, a $40,000 deal, $10,000. Like, you should be willing to spend up to $10,000 to get that first deal done. Then take that money and put it back into marketing. As you hone it, then you can work towards the 8-to-1, 10-to-1, like Keith saw here, is about 8-to-1 ROI on that money. 4,500 turned into about $40,000, which is an amazing return. Not one of us would say no to that. So work the numbers, guys. Remove the emotion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you guys haven't checked it out, I think we've brought this up almost every behind the deal episode we've done, which it's always applicable. We don't even plan on it, but carrot.com/close, carrot.com/close. We have a whole negotiation playbook. Keith was the one who actually inspired this, because he said, hey, like, you guys' negotiation content is awesome. The episodes with John Martinez, Steve Trang are really amazing. So we decided to do a whole podcast series and put together an entire resource on negotiation for people who maybe they're really good at getting the lead, but they could use to brush up on their negotiation skills. So check that out.
Absolutely.
I got a question for you, Keith. A lot of investors won't touch mobile homes. Like, you've been to Carrot Camp, we'll hear, investors stand up and say, like, I don't even want to look at it. Trashly, don't even want to deal with it. Not worth my time. Was that ever the case for you, or have you always done mobile homes?
I had some reservations in the beginning, right? But as I saw, like, they were going up, and I remember, like, one of the first buyers I sold a mobile home. He's like, I love mobile homes. And I was like, oh, so there are people that love mobile homes. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to keep discounting these things then, right? Like, so yeah.
Okay.
But there was some reservations in the beginning, but
yeah. And like you were saying, especially in a different market, right? Because if you're in a market where it's a big time buyer's market versus seller's market, then the mobile homes are going to dramatically fluctuate in price more than a stick built home. And so it's a supply and demand kind of thing right now. And there's just some generational stuff where more and more, Warren Buffett bought the company Clayton Homes like 5, 6, 7 years ago, which is one of the biggest mobile home makers, or they probably don't call it mobile home. Manufactured home. One of the biggest manufactured home makers in America. And when you see a big move like that, where he doesn't just buy into it, but he bought the company, you go, well, he's looking at some metrics where he sees demographics and other things moving in that direction, to where a manufactured home is going to be a very, very attractive thing. And I think it's going to be for a long time. You saw the mini home, or the what do they call it? Tiny homes, right? That tiny home movement coming in. I think that's a little bit of a fad, because that's a really, really small unit. But then you have the manufactured home, which is almost like that in-between compromise between a stick-built home and a tiny home, sometimes smaller, but really good quality today too. So I think they're going to keep getting bigger.
I think they're really great too. For, like, not everyone has the knowledge to be able to build a home from the ground up.
Yep.
Foundation, permitting, everything. But it's not that hard to scrap an old mobile home that has all the utilities, septic, water on site, and bring in a new one and sell a brand new house.
I love it. Dude, Keith, I want to switch over to this article. So Brady, if we can, let's bring up the article on the screen. And so I was just on with Andrew Kalogi from Carrot Camp. And we talked about SEO about an hour or two ago. And the conversation came up on there where, hey guys, if you're wanting to build backlinks and really grow your SEO, using Haro, Help a Reporter Out, is a really good resource. So guys, if you're wanting to grow your rankings in Google, you need to get good quality links to your website or backlinks. And helpareporter.com is a really good resource for that. And so Keith kind of did the end around and the accidental Help a Reporter where he reached out to you. But dude, why don't you kind of walk people through, and we'll link up the article or we'll show it on the screen or something. But you got a big mention from the Olympian, I think it was called. And how did that come to be? And did they paint you in a good light? And let's just kind of chat about the article a little bit.
It's the best. It's the best. I just had to throw out the hook for anyone that's listening. Keith sends me this article this morning, and the newspaper's headline is, "Why do Jesse and quotes? Why do Jesse and Dayton want to buy your Thurston County home?" Yeah, go ahead, Keith.
Yeah, that was a good title. Yeah, so this guy, I got a call on last Thursday, and he said he was a reporter. Just missed his call. Listen to the voicemail really quick. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna call everyone back. Don't leave any stone unturned. So I called him. And I had reservations, right? I've talked to other guys that said, oh yeah, I've been interviewed, and no matter what you say, they make you out to be like a vulture. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I was pretty good at what I said, kept on message. And he was pretty nice. And at the end, I told him everything. Like, he's like, what would you say if, the people say that you guys are just sharks and you're stripping equity? I'm like, well, there's definitely bad actors in any industry, whether reporters, doctors, lawyers, agents, investors, right? I just try to do things the right way. And I care about my reputation. You could see online that I have a good reputation, and I didn't name my company Kind House Buyers for nothing, right? And so he did a really good little article. I actually just saw it, right? And it's really funny. So this published, I talked to him on Thursday. I didn't even know it even published. He published it on, and he wanted to talk to a seller. And so I actually reached out to Amanda, the lady that sold that mobile home. She said, yeah, of course, Keith, I'd love to, anything I could do to help you. Like, you were amazing. Thank you so much. So she gave him amazing stuff. He wrote about what she said. And then I get another lead the other day. I go on the appointment. The guy agrees to my offer, send him the offer, and he emails me and he's like, oh yeah, Keith, by the way, I forgot to mention when I saw you, like, you actually had you were mentioned in the Olympian on Sunday. You got some free publicity, he said. And I was like, so I messaged back, oh, cool. Is that the way you heard about me? And he said, yes. So he saw my article on Sunday, put his info in on Monday. I'm at the appointment on Tuesday, and the appointment only lasted 11 minutes. And it was a hoarder house, so there wasn't much to walk through. Mm-hmm. But he really liked me, and it was quick, easy. He agreed my offer, and it was done. But yeah, that's why I say, answer your phone, guys. And if you see that in the beginning of the article, he's like Jesse and Dalton or whoever they are. He called both of those people. He's gotten texts and mailers to his own house. That's how he called me, and he's like, yeah, like, I get these letters, mailers, text messages. And, he's like, actually, thank you for calling me back. You're the fifth person I hit up, and the only person that's actually responded or answered the phone. And I'm thinking, what the heck is going on with these people? And again, why I think people need negotiating skills. I don't know why they're afraid to answer the phone. I used to be shy, and crap, I don't know what to say, blah, blah, blah. So that's why I was like, most people need negotiating skills. That's why I recommended that to you. But yeah, so I answered the phone, didn't leave the stone unturned, and it turned into another deal. So
I'm going to read a part of the article. So here's one of the cool things about it. So he mentioned your company name. He said Sant from Kind Home Buyers. So that's probably where the dude ended up doing the Google search on it. Says Sant 33 has been buying and selling homes throughout the state for 4 years through a business he calls Kind House Buyers. He has partner investors and makes cash offers on your property. He has a website, carrot site, and said the yellow sign approach is about as invasive as his marketing gets. And one of the things that you had mentioned a little bit ago, Keith, was in the top of that article, he was really showing and painting the more aggressive approach of marketing in a bad light. Like, not really directly saying, hey, they're doing all this stuff, but they were talking about the text and all the direct mail that he wasn't wanting. And he's like, oh, here's a guy who doesn't do any of that stuff. And he basically has a website that looks awesome, and he's a trustworthy guy called Kind House Buyers. And then the same thing down below, you kind of talk about your story a little bit, but then it talks about Amanda. So the deal that we just walked through. So Amanda found Sant online after she had had to do something about her father-in-law and his home in Spanaway. So she went online, guys. She went online and she found Keith's website. Okay, so the same website that the newspaper reporter saw that built trust and built credibility, and it really helped to elevate Keith over the other people in the market that reporter was researching and looking at, the ones who weren't calling back. Right? If you're spamming, if you're sending people a bunch of direct mail or spamming people with text messages, and you're not calling them back, what type of messages does that tell the prospect, or in this case, the reporter? It tells them it's probably not a good situation. Like, I'm not going to say the person is a scammer, because you probably not, but your business isn't as streamlined and as productive as it should be. Okay, you're probably not following the business principles that are going to help build trust as much. And so Keith is building trust. And then she goes down into it and says, her father-in-law's health was deteriorating, and the condition of the manufactured home deteriorated along with it. They were living in Vancouver, Washington at the time, had plans to relocate to Kentucky, like Keith had mentioned, and they reached out to Keith, and he made an offer before seeing the house. And she said, this guy's crazy. She knew that the roof leaked. Not all the electrical worked, and in addition to, the house was not built to code, which resulted in a lien on the property. And I'll finish with this: says the Richardson's main interest was to pay off what her father-in-law owed and have enough left over for the move. He owed about $80,000. Keith offered around $84,000. Very professional, very respectful, very flexible. And then they go on to talk about it a little bit more. Guys, there's nothing negative in that. It's just because that's the way
numbers are off, though, and they didn't live in Vancouver. They lived in Kentucky. They drove here, but everything else was right.
So they owed. You're mentioning the 75, so they owed around 70, 75, then around there probably.
She said it was about 75, and it ended up being like 76.
Yep.
It was like 75 and some change with that month's payment, and I offered 86.
Cool.
Plus closing costs and everything, so it came up to really like 90.
Yep. Awesome. So you were able to put money in their pocket, help them with the move, and they probably had even more left over, which is like the most amazing solution for the seller overall. And this property, guys, so especially if there's real estate agents watching this and you're wanting to learn about the other side of the industry on how to help clients that have the more difficult situations, this property couldn't really be listed easily or possibly at all on the market in its condition. And so Keith was able to come in, solve the problem for the client, partner with another investor who's then going to take it and do what you do the next parts of it, get it back on the market into a condition where people can live in it again, and take that problem property into a productive part of the neighborhood now. So guys, this is the value. This is what you guys and gals can do as real estate investors. You're not just out there to turn a quick buck. Keith made an amazing profit from this. Made whatever that is, about $35,000 from this deal, because he followed up quick. He answered his phone. He got over there. He had a great website that built trust and credibility. His pictures all over his website. He talks about testimonials. And so when he was there and the seller was sitting there literally receiving text messages and phone calls from competition, she just said, I don't even want to talk to them because I've got someone trustworthy in front of me that I know is going to close, and they're actually here. They showed up. They're not just emailing me over offers. So guys, that's how we stand out in this market. Dude, Keith, kudos to you, man. I love the way you operate.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yep. Dude, they didn't give you a backlink, though. That's the only bummer.
I know, but I thought about that, and I was bummed out for like 2 seconds. And then I'm like, but I got a deal from it.
Yep.
Which is worth more than a backlink, because I did get a good deal.
It is. And now you can take on your site and say, as seen on, whatever.
Link
up the article.
Absolutely.
I got a question for you, Keith, and then if we don't have any other questions from the live chat, we'll jump into our tips that actually work segment. One question I got is, so you wholesaled this one, right, Keith? You wholesaled it to another investor.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ever interested in any buy and hold or building a portfolio? And if not, I'm curious as to why not and what your strategy is there. If you have any interest or desire.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think buy and holds are amazing. I think, you either buy and hold for appreciation or for cash flow, right? I think we're at the top of a market right now. So buying for appreciation in Washington State doesn't make a lot of sense, because I bought my first house in 2007 and I was underwater for a long time. But even if you're underwater, if it cash flows, you're cool, right? But like in other states, you can cash flow. But to answer that condo that I got just under contract, I got it for 110 and put like 30 into it. That thing's going to cash flow in Washington State. I have a few other properties. I have one other property in Washington State and a fourplex and one other property down in Texas. But yeah, so, you know, this market's really good to flip, not really good for cash flow right now.
And Brady, that's an amazing question though, right? Because as we're kind of talking market cycles there, it's something that every single asset that's tradable, gold, crypto now, you know, they all have some level of a market cycle. And I think people should be really aware of what their market cycle is, and also what's your strategies. Like, what's your end game? Is your end game to buy back your time and move out of the transactional side of real estate? Then you have to have a plan to do that. And so that might be taking that money and buying businesses with it, or creating a business that has more of that recurring income, or buying rental real estate, right? Then eventually, once you have that portfolio that can give you the money, then that person can choose, if they want to pull back on the transactional side, or continue doing that for capital to continue growing the things they're wanting to do. I know for me in Roseburg, I was talking with Tristan Ahumada from Lab Coat Agents about a month or two ago. And he's like, oh, where do you live? And so it was a couple months ago, and he pulled up Roseburg on Zillow or wherever he was pulling it up. And he's an amazing investor, amazing agent, owns the community guys and gals called Lab Coat Agents for real estate agents. And he was looking in here, and he goes, he goes, yeah, what do houses rent for there? And I go, oh, well, da-da-da-da. You know, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, they're going to be about this much, about $2,000 a month or so, $1,800 to $2,000 a month, maybe a little bit more. And him coming from LA, you know, he's in, I can't remember, but somewhere, one of the fancy, expensive areas in LA. He's like, dude, he goes, I could buy houses at retail right now and make the return that I want to get. I can't get any of that down in LA. And so for him, he just had to look to a different market. And he's buying all across the company or all across the country, but he's not picking up the properties that he wants in LA for that same return. So yeah, guys, look at the market, but also markets are local. There's not really such thing as a national market. There's national trends, but there's local markets. And one local market like Seattle might be crazy hard to find cash flowing properties, but you can still find them, like Keith has found there. But then you can look across to other markets as well, or different asset types. I'm buying some buildings downtown. I'm not going to say that they're the best investments in the world for cash flow. It's more for purpose and mission. But I can actually get better cash flow out of these properties downtown because the multiple mixed use than I would be able to for buying a residential house in the same town at the same price, because the rent ratios is off.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Keith. Well, one thing we like doing in Behind the Deal is a quick little segment called Tips That Actually Work. We just want to give you something nice, short and sweet, little thing that you can do to your website or your marketing, just something quick and easy you can implement. So this week, I wanted to, let me share my screen real quick, share with you something we made an update to recently called the SEO keyword rank tracking tool. And the reason I want to bring this up is if you're not using tracking links for any sort of, if you're throwing links out there in your marketing and you're not tracking them, then how are you going to know what's working? And so Keith, this deal, you said this was a Yahoo, this was PPC, this was Yahoo search?
It was the Spanaway one was a PPC lead. At least that's, but I think they were bouncing around doing so much research. It was, a little hard to tell. I don't know if they found me originally on PPC and then ended up on, I don't know, but
okay.
It was a PPC. They clicked on me at least once and they filled out the form that day.
Okay, nice. I wanted to give you guys kind of a sneak peek of how Keith is crushing it. Keith, these are some of the search terms that you're ranking for right now. Sell my house fast, Tacoma, Washington. Number 1, we buy houses, Tacoma. Number 4, he's killing it. How often do you check in on the rank track tool?
All the time. I did a lot more in the beginning. I use some other tools as well, right? I'm, the Google Search Console and whatnot, but this is a really good baseline and really get you, and it's fun to see that needle. And, I'm competitive. So I was like, I'm not even kidding. I had as my alarm every morning. There was this one guy, number 1. And I was like, my alarm said, beat this guy. Like that was my morning alarm, was to be number one on Google ahead of the guy that was number one. So
I love it.
That's
Brady,
great.
go back to the rankings tab and then expand it out, go wider. Because one thing that we're starting to do, and you guys are going to start to see more of this trickle out, is we've started to add more data into the tool. And so you guys are going to see a lot more data coming out as well the next several quarters. We just had a chance to watch a product demo with the product team this week on some things that are coming out, basic requests from customers, the ability to add more keywords, just kind of basic stuff like that, right? So we're going to have the ability to add more keywords very soon, likely in the next 45 days or so. Don't quote me on it. Product team probably like throwing rocks in my computer if I give dates, but it's coming very, very soon. Add more keywords. And then we have a whole slew of other things that we're going to be doing on the SEO side in our product to help you guys stand out more and use our tool more for the SEO things versus having to go to outside. So scroll to the bottom of this, Brady. So the middle section of that, guys, is search volume. And this is coming from an API from a tool called SEMrush, an amazing SEO tool. So if you're a Carrot customer and you're looking at this, you're going to see some of those with dashes. Now, it doesn't mean no one is searching those. It just means that the search volume is likely really, really, really low. It might be more than 10. It might be less than 10. But if you were to go to Google and start to type up sell my house fast, span away or whatever, as long as you're getting a Google suggestion that says, hey, we think you might be looking at this, then there's probably enough people in that market searching it that it matters for you to at least have some sort of ranking there. And if something doesn't pop up as a Google suggested search at all, then there's the likelihood that it's probably not going to get really much volume or anything at all. And so it doesn't mean you shouldn't create a page for that. It just means don't expect a lot of traffic. So it's really easy to create pages. So you might as well create some of those. But then as you look at like the Seattle market versus Tacoma, that one showed 300 and something searches a month. I want to kind of walk through the numbers here with you guys. If you're ranked number one in Google organically, you can expect about 35 to 37% of all those clicks. So if there's 100 people doing that search in that market, you can expect about 30 to 40 of those people to click your website as the number one listing. The last day that I saw, since they moved the Google ads up above, and sometimes there's 4 ads up above, that can be anywhere between the 10 and 20% range of people click the ads. The number 2 organic listing is about half of what the number 1 organic listing would get, so about 15 to 20%. And then it pretty much cuts in half every organic listing on down from there. So that's where, especially if you're in a small market, you're going to want to be in the top 1 or 2 results in Google in a really small market to get any real volume of traffic there that's going to matter. If you're in a big market, Seattle, Dallas, Texas, Houston, whatever it is, you can even be ranked 3, 4, or 5 sometimes and still get leads. But the volume is really going to come from the number 1 or number 2 positions in those markets. And there's a gazillion keywords, guys. Each market has all kinds of keywords for the niches, for how do I sell my house without a real estate agent, for selling a house that's inherited, for sell my house fast, we buy houses, this city, that city. And so even though there's other competitors in your marketplace, just like we had a podcast with Andrew Kloji earlier today, we're going to be putting out here in a couple of weeks. Andrew walked through and he's like a new Carrot customer the past 18 months. And he came in using the same tool because Carrot leveled the playing field for him against other Carrot members in that market. And then he just started executing at a better pace. And he's beating many of those who've been in that market for years. So it's not that you can't get amazing results if there's other Carrot members in there. You can. You actually have an advantage now over non-Carrot users because you've leveled the playing field with the tech, and now you just need to execute well, like Keith is talking. So I love it, man. Yeah, guys, go in and try out the new SEO ranking tracker tool, the data, and keep an eye out because there's going to be a lot more stuff coming.
And man, keyword research is so critical. I did not put enough weight on it in the beginning. And then I'm going back later, I'm just thinking, sell my house fast, Seattle, Washington. That was my Seattle page. When I came back a few months later and did some research, spent some time, sell my house fast, Seattle, Washington, or WA was searched less than half of sell my house fast, Seattle.
Yep.
And so I got rid of W on almost, and then boom. And so, yeah, it says I'm number 3 for Seattle WA. Really, I'm number 1 because of one of my Google My Businesses. And then I'm I think I'm really 2 locally, but it might be a little different. But I get a ton of leads. And then, again, going back over and seeing how your, Google Search Console, analytics, how these people are coming in, then you're like, oh, you could be number 1, but if the volume's not there and the intent isn't there, you're number 1 for no reason. And you're not going to get as many leads per click or per user as is if you do a little bit of research. So do some research. Cool. It's nerdy, but it's important.
I like it. This is good, man.
Well, we're just about to wrap it up, but I got to call out George's comment here because we were just talking about this before the episode. So Keith is in Tacoma, Washington. You're about 3.
Oh, George Anderson. He's the best.
Yeah. You're about 3 hours away from Spokane. George Anderson says Spokane, Washington is going crazy right now. More military personnel moving here on orders with families. Also more manufacturers. Woo-hoo. Keith, you were saying, how many deals have you done in Spokane and you've never been there?
I've done them all with George. I send him the leads. Really? He's my boy.
Cool.
Yeah. He just bought a house for me the other day. Not the other day. I forget. I was out of town, but he's like, hey, I got a surprise. I closed on a deal from one of the houses and I'm actually buying it as a personal residence. So surprise, let me know what you want for it. Cool. Hell yeah. I'm super excited for him. That's awesome. And
he says he's at the house now.
Oh, he's at the house now. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, no.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's amazing.
So that's one of the things I love so much about what we've been able to build with you guys over the years. And we're going to be doubling down on this next year. People have been asking for years why we don't have like a carrot community that people can go engage and network. And we're finally doing it. So there's going to be a couple cool things coming out in 2022 that we'll be letting you guys know about. But just that thing right there, right? You connecting with George. I know I've seen George on a lot of our content as an audience member. How did you guys connect, Keith, just so people can know?
So the first carrot camp, I was there and Brent and Adam from Mississippi were there. They invited all 15 people to go to their event. Only me and Jonathan Tran went. I met George at that event.
Cool.
We became good friends, closed a bunch of deals since.
I love it. So guys, show up to events, connect with people, reach out to people. They're not your competitors, right? So George and Keith are in the same state. And Keith doesn't want to go to Spokane to do deals. George does want to be there to do deals. And guys, get that done. Okay, there's so many people who are in here throwing leads away. Like we see this all the time at Carrot, where you'll see leads coming in outside of their primary market, and we'll see this with people that we're helping with PPC or something like that over the years. We don't have when we're helping people, we're looking at it and we're seeing like there's leads coming in. There's plenty of leads coming in. They're like, yeah, but this leads outside of the area I want to buy, and this one's in a tough part of town, and this one's like 2 hours away, and they're looking at it as only the leads that fit in their pretty tiny little box that they're going to buy in this little area. But guys, the other leads might be someone else's box. Like someone else might buy there. Do some Google searches, connect with them. Google search other websites. Pick up the phone, call them up. Show up to these events that we're doing here. Post in there. Hey guys, this is Mark. I'm from blah. If anyone's looking to do deals or share, I'm in this market. Hit me up. Like guys, just connect with people. Because that connection, that collaboration is what's needed right now in this phase of the market, not looking at everyone else's competitors. So close those darn leads that you're throwing away right now, y'all, especially the mobile leads.
Even if it's, retail listings, find a good agent that will call those and create a relationship with them. Mm-hmm. Like there's many months where even if I spend 10, 12, 15 grand on marketing, my agent referral commissions will cover that. From leads that I was not going to buy. I don't even call them. Like they have no equity and no motivation.
Yep. I'm
a problem solver. They don't have a problem. Here's an agent that can solve your problem. And the agent goes on the appointment.
It's hybrid, guys. Hybrid. We've been driving the hybrid conversation for several years. And that's one of the big benefits. You don't have to be an agent that wants to drive around and show houses. You just need to be able to have that connection with someone who is, and then have the partnership set up between them in some way, shape, or form, the relationship, so you guys can share in that win together. So that's awesome, man. Keith, any any final parting words on the top dollar teardown? Those of you who have shown up here towards the end, I've seen a bunch of people popping in here. Go back and watch the first 15 to 20 minutes of the session. So as soon as this ends, the recording will be up there. Go all the way back and go hit play, start it again, because we show you the deal. We walk through this mobile home deal. We show you how he found it, how he followed up with them to beat several other investors who were physically calling the seller's phone as Keith was standing there with the client, how he served the client, how he actually offered her even more than she asked for. He offered her more than she asked for, guys. How he closed the deal, where the profit was, and what the ROI was in the whole thing, and a walkthrough of the property on a video. So go back to the start, watch it. And everyone, we're doing this every other Thursday. So go to carrot.com/behind. That's carrot.com/behind. Team did an amazing job getting that page up. Awesome work, guys. Looks awesome. Nice work.
We also have carrot.com/deal, just because I felt kind of funny saying /behind. So
dude, you need to make carrot.com/the now. And so then no matter what they do, we've got all three covered.
Yes, there we go. I got an idea, Trevor. It's just something. I just sparked an idea as we were talking. This people throwing away leads comes up like so often, all the time. People saying, "Oh, these are trash leads. This is mobile home lead. This is a land lead. This is it's not in my market." I think we ought to do a piece of content. We ought to do a podcast or a blog post on no lead left behind.
Yep.
And then one line, just send them to Keith.
Just send them to Keith.
If they're not going to do anything, just
Go to
send them
Kind
to
House
me.
Buyers.
That's the whole blog post. It's just one backlink for Keith.
Yeah.
Here's your email.
No, but absolutely. There's, and I'm guilty of it. For over a year, I didn't make use of one retail lead. Not one. And when I look back at the numbers, I'm like, wow, I made like 60 grand this year off of retail listings. Like, what if I would have done that sooner? You know, a year from now, you're going to wish you started today. It did take, you're grinding, you're working. Like, I did have to take some time, niche out, find some people to contact, have those conversations. I sent leads to like 4 or 5 people that did not follow up. They were not hungry. And then I found one that was really hungry, really good communicator, let me know what was going on, high close rate. And, it's totally worth it.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Dude, there on that topic, Brady. So, I know you and I were talking about this a little bit yesterday in the office, like product wise. And as we're planning out the next phase of the product, and we've got our engineering team, built out, and we're going to be continuing to hire more. I'm so excited about the problems that we can solve. But that's one of the problems I want to look at, how we can solve that. Like, how do we help pair people up where this person over here, it's a trash lead for them, and this person over here, it's gold, And so that's a problem that we're going to be looking into to see how we can solve that more. It was funny in the Carrot Camp Facebook page, alumni group. Jose popped a note in there, and he's like, "Hey, does anyone in this market, or does anyone know this person, this other Carrot Camper's information?" Because he knew that person was in the market. And he literally went to that Carrot Camper's website because he couldn't get a hold of him. He just like inputted in the leads information in that market for him and go, man, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way to make it so Jose can click a button and then it like goes to the people who want that lead in some way, shape, or form. And I want to work on figuring that out. So if you guys think that might be valuable, some way to sell your leads that you don't want, and or some way to purchase leads that others don't want, that are ones that you want, let me know in the comments box, and or follow me up on Instagram, trevor.mauch. That's trevor.mauch. And then DM me. Let me know if that's something you would see value in. Because we see, 60 to 70,000 leads a month coming in, just opt-ins, doesn't include any phone calls. So you can probably about double that. And there's a healthy percentage that get thrown away or not followed up on. There's a problem.
I'd be all over that.
Yeah. Drop a comment if you want to see the content. If there's enough demand, we'll do it.
Yep.
We'll do it.
Love it.
All right. Well, I've had a lot of fun. Thank you, Trevor. Thank you, Keith. Everybody, make sure you go subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Go to YouTube, subscribe, and catch us on carrot.com/deal. We do this every other Thursday, and then we push to the podcast feed as well. So catch us live. It's been a blast. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. It's always fun hanging out, and hopefully I see you guys in May.
Thank you, Keith. Appreciate you, man. Thanks, Brady. Thanks, Braden.
Later.
Have a good rest of the week, guys.